So my sister said the only reason she has YouTube on her TV is to watch these videos. So I guess I got to keep making them. Actually, I've just been busy, and it was like not too much interesting to show. But now we're getting to that point. We've been doing stuff to get the garden ready for the winter and next year, and the winter garden. Gardening, if you garden like we do, it doesn't end in at the end of fall. The winter isn't really a time off. It's just a different time for different tasks. So the main garden, the garden proper, where we still haven't really started to get ready for living pathways. I'll do a lot of that prep here in the next week or two. Getting this stuff up. I think we're going to end up putting plastic down over a lot of the places where weeds and grass have been a problem. And leaving that down, and we won't seed until next year for the clover. But the cool weather crops are doing well as always. Plenty of kale. It's better in other places here too. I'll show you later. But cabbage is coming in. That one's real pretty. That's going to be pretty, and so is that one. But they're coming in. These are beets. Mostly there's some weeds in there. This is the first compost batch, so it has more weeds than hopefully the rest of them are going to have less and less as I've gotten better at making it. In theory, that will be what happens. Got some carrots here and some potato bags. Most potato bags have been cleared. There's still a few, but we replanted carrots when it was early enough. Still a few pepper plants that aren't dead. You can see, and we might go closer later, but I cleared out the failed wildflower meadow this year. Did great last year, not this year. Going to cut it down short again too, and do a few different things this year when the season starts back up for it. But looks like some more. Did she plant peas back in there? She probably did. But more cabbages. That'll be pretty. The tomatoes are gone, except for these few still along the fence line. I've gone in and put a fresh layer of compost, the newer batch, so hopefully less weed seeds. Haven't seen any yet. We've had some warm spells where if they were in there, I was hoping they'd germinate. I see a few there. We'll actually just take care of that right now. And that'll probably do it. And this one, she planted cabbages. I'm letting them grow a little bigger, and you'll see later too where I've done this outside of the garden. Hadn't done it in here yet. When I vacuum up the leaves with the lawnmower and chop them up, they will go on top of the compost to act, to hold in moisture and nutrients over the winter, and they'll break down to eventually add organic matter. But that's what's been done here is we've added some lettuces and some cabbages and stuff. I think it's just all lettuces actually to these beds, and I just want to let them grow bigger before I throw a thick layer of leaves on there. But all these potatoes cleared. Got the last of that compost used, the second batch, and the third batch is turned over. Has some more work to it, and getting these two piles ready, which will probably be one pile eventually, to kind of sit over winter, and leaving that through until spring, and then probably turn it, do some other things in the spring with it. Like I said, I should do videos on how I'm experimenting with how I do my compost in a way that will be something I can maintain. Like I'm always worried about, how do I do this for 10 years, 20 years? The strawberries looking good. Again, looks like some, what is it? That's probably broccoli, but it may not be. It may be cabbage that she planted in there, or self-seeded in there, probably fell in there. As you can see, the Kira's out here enjoying the garden where she's not supposed to. Oh, look at her run. Look at her. She's a running. Oh, she's about ready to go out. What did she see? You can wait a second. I'll take you out in a second. Come here. You can wait. You're a good girl, but you can wait. Let me finish up. And then this last bit in here of some chard and some red vein sorrel, which I love, and again different cabbages and lettuces and stuff. Mustards. The mustard's really good. We've got a salad with it in the house now. But yeah, that's what this looks like right now as we head into winter. So it's actually the next day. Kira had needs, so we'll just start here in the back. this is still, like, we planted some buckwheat. It's done all right. We should have planted a little earlier. But we should have planted way earlier for the bees. They can get a lot of pollen off a buckwheat plant. But we'll go through here. As you can see, I've mowed all this down. I'll probably mow it again. A barrel for the stuff that I don't want in the compost. The bees, I got to finish winterizing them. I'm letting them, they hadn't quite filled up. They really hadn't filled that up, so I wanted them in a smaller box. So I opened that up and let them rob it. They're about done. But we'll winterize them. Maybe I'll show some of that. But yeah, all this has been cleared, so I can see how some of my trees are doing or not. This one's still alive. They haven't grown much. They're all marked along the border. I don't think I'm going to take more of the border out this year. I think I'm just going to clean it up more and keep it back to where I have it. So let's go around. We'll go around real quick. There's not much to see. I'd say maybe probably about a third, or actually probably half, a little better than half. 2/3, maybe even 3/4 of the raspberry and the blackberry bushes survive. So you can see the asparagus bed and the Jerusalem artichoke beds have been kind of ready for winter. The way I've done that is I typically will come through, actually because there's so many with the weed whacker, and cut them all down. And then on this bed was put a couple loads of compost. And you see I need to weed it a little bit, which is fine. It always needs to be weeded because here we're close to the woods. This all used to be woods. I keep meaning to put up some of those comparison videos. Maybe I'll make shorts of them. But yeah, it was done with compost, and then after I went through and sucked up the leaves with the lawnmower, we put a big old thick pile of leaves on here to kind of keep adding to this bed, which is a hugelkultur bed. The bottom was originally rotted wood and just has added to it. Over here, these are just leaves actually. That's all I did here was just leaves. We're going to take a look at the mushroom bed real quick. Let's go take a look at that. Before we get to the mushroom bed, I will just say that I'm going to figure this area out. I thought she had planted stuff, and she's like, no, I didn't plant anything in there. So this is all stuff I should have took out anyway. But we'll figure it out this winter. Probably change it around some. I've got that old box spring that I want to turn into a trellis, so maybe this will be a spot for some of that. This still never filled out how I wanted it to. But next year I have high hopes this will actually fill up with peas. Now that I've got figured out how to keep the critters out of it, but they still actually have not done too bad to be late in the season. But the hope is that I can get them to grow up here and just create a nice blockage, and one day I'll straighten this porch out to where it's something more than storage. That's the hope. But still, it'll work. I know it'll work in theory. A lot of times when I do stuff here, it's like, will this work? And it's like, even if I'm not 100% successful, a lot of times I'm like, oh yeah, that'll work. I just need to do X, Y, and Z. Gardening is constant experimentation and failure and success and failure and success. So I love these. We'll be separating these and put them in other places because we've got this one down here too that, you know, they've kind of taken over in their areas. I trimmed up a lot of the apple and pear trees and hopefully trying to train some limbs that I didn't get too late to grow the way I want them to grow. You want good airflow, but you also want to make sure that the limbs are going to support the fruit growth when it comes. So that's what I've done with a lot of these. Hopefully I didn't get some of them too late to try and train them. We'll see. Again, part of the learning process of gardening. That guy still like my favorite, one of my favorite purchases since we've been here. As you can see, the Persian shield, the frost absolutely took it out, the first real frost we had. I have buried it good in leaves because I want to see if the roots will survive and it'll come back. It's not supposed to, but a lot of things, you know, happen that aren't supposed to, so we'll see. But the cuttings I took are actually doing really well inside, and I took the houseplant one inside, and I'll be potting those on and getting those ready for people for gifts. But I mean, I knew it was a little out of our zone. We're like maybe 1 or 2 zones away from being able to overwinter it. But we'll see. We'll see if piling it up, plus with climate change, because they haven't changed the zones in a while now, and they really should. Who knows? We'll see. I think this has all been taken down since my last video. Of course, we got the hollyhocks really coming in after I took everything down, which is good because a lot of that was weeds. Haven't really fully refreshed this bed or gone into this bed to weed because just so many flowers have been planted. I'm never sure what's what other than that creeping Charlie back there. It's doing well. No luck with the old. Still just that there's 2 grapevines that did well. So this is what else I've done for bed prep, and there'll be more of this. I'll talk about this. Sorry, so this is the what was the watermelons that I got out here too late. We did all right. We didn't do very well with them, but that's okay. We know what we did wrong. We should have got them out here earlier. But again, this bed was, a good layer of compost, then covered again with leaves. So that's what was done here. Less of that here just because of all the kale, which is doing really well. Some of it actually looks fantastic. The critters kind of like the kale, but they tend to leave it mostly alone enough for us to still be able to, it's worth it to harvest, and also it keeps them away from other things. So that's all prepped and ready. And then as always, we'll finish here with the keel, which everything's done. Babe went around the past few days and took a bunch of seed heads down from the dahlias, and we are, I've again covered this not with mulch, not with compost actually, just with the leaves. I'll probably do a refresh of mulch at the beginning of the year. So for these, it was just the leaves to protect the soil, and again they'll break down over time. So yeah, that's been left. As you can see, all the the squash and pumpkin takeover is over. I came through here and got all that up a few weeks ago, and that's done, so I could get to these beds and kind of get them ready for next year. So they're all done. My one grapevine, I look forward to hopefully having some muscadines next year. We'll see. And just again, some cabbages, because we cleaned this out. There was some zucchini and stuff in there, and that's been cleaned up as well with the squash. The chard looks amazing over here, and again, just more kale, lots of kale. Kale loves it here. That's and then finally, what I've done here is what we grew here didn't really do well. It's kind of hard to get to the harvest, so I think next year we agreed to do flowers. But one of the things I'm going to experiment with over the winter is like just tarping some things to kill off the weeds, and see how well that works for us, and how involved that's going to be. So this, and then some places inside the garden will be tarped, and of course this is cleared again. She says she wants to try zucchini again, so we'll, not zucchini, kiwis. Again, I don't know why I conflated the two, but she wants to try kiwis again in here. So we'll see how that goes. Eventually we'll get something going in here. I'm just waiting for the rest of the leaves to come down so they'll go on other beds. I try to make use of everything we have here. That's a big part of what we do. So I'm really happy with the fact that all the compost is made from stuff that comes from here, and nothing is really brought in, if you count when we use just the plain brown cardboard, which is just waste from what we do here too. So I'm really proud of that. I hope to see hopefully less weeds this new batch and less weeds the next batch, and we'll have the process down a little better and maybe be able to, I've been documenting that, but put it all together eventually. So that's it. That's the state of things right now, getting ready to go into the winter and our winter growing season, and get ready for next year. So maybe I'll get to rest some. There'll be a lot of work in the woods that I'll try to document, but I should get to rest some in the winter.